If there's one thing you can expect from a GTA game, is that not every character is honest about their intentions. Betrayal is basically a guarantee in this franchise, and if I was a betting man, I'd say that GTA 6 is likely to be no different. So in this video, I'm going to talk about who I think from the array of characters that we know of so far is most likely to betray Jason and Lucia, or at the very least, be an antagonist at some point in the story. However, really quickly before I begin, I would like to say a big thank you to all of the members on screen. I say this in every video because it really does mean the world to me. Thank you so much for your support, and if you'd like to become a member yourself, you can do so via the link in the description. Thank you, and let's begin. Okay, so up first, I think this one is pretty obvious, and that's Heder. Many people are probably going to disagree with me on this one, but I just really get bad vibes from this guy. His character bio mentions that he's a veteran in the drug trade, and to me, it just makes complete sense that the only reason why he's been able to stay on top for so long is that he's capable of doing whatever it takes to survive. And I have zero doubts that this would include him being willing to double-cross Jason and Lucia if they were to somehow become a liability to his empire. Now, I know my take here could be seen as a bit of a bold one, because everything we've seen so far suggests that Heder is actually very helpful to Jason. Of course, we know that he lets Jason stay rent-free at one of his properties. Something just feels off about him, and like I said before, in the criminal world, you typically only get to the very top if you're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. Maybe Jason is forced into working with the police somehow, which Brian could understandably see as a threat and try and take him out. I don't know, at the end of the day, I'm not a scriptwriter. I'll leave it to Rockstar to come up with the specifics, but I just think there's something really off about Brian, and if you think the same thing, make sure to tell me down in the comments, or if you don't, that's fine too. Also tell me, I'm very curious because this game has so much mystery around it and it's so fun, so do let me know what you think. Anyway, up next, I want to talk a little bit about the one, the only Raul Bautista. Now, I'm actually going to throw a bit of a curveball into the video here, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to disagree with me on this, but I'm actually leaning more towards Raul being trustworthy. If there's one thing this guy strikes me as, is a professional, and I can totally see it being that he only works with people who he knows he can trust, and in return, expects them to do the same thing for him. However, just because I think that we can trust him, that doesn't mean that him being a threat to Jason and Lucia is completely off the table. I'm going to assume that we'll be introduced to Raul through Lucia. Since Jason obviously has Brian, it makes sense that Raul will cover Lucia's side of the story. As a result of this, I could see him maybe fully trusting Lucia, but not trusting Jason as much, which could lead to some conflict and maybe them going their separate ways. Maybe Raul will say to Lucia that she can keep working with him, but only if she gets rid of Jason, and honestly, given what we know about the story, I can't see that going down too well. Overall, Raul is definitely one of the most intriguing characters, and I could be way off about this, but just going off everything we've seen so far, I'm optimistic that he'll end up being a very good character. Moving on, I want to talk a bit about Boobie Ike. Once again, we don't know much about this guy, so it's pretty hard to judge, but based on everything we know so far, he seems to be a big player in the Vice City scene. And I'll say the same thing that I said for Brian. The people at the top are usually the ones who are willing to do whatever it takes to stay there. We of course know that he's connected to Drake, who seems to be on very good terms with Jason. They seem to be very good friends, so what if at some point in the story, Boobie makes Dre choose between Jason or himself? And I can just see this working so well, because not only would Boobie be betraying us, but also Dre, which would just create even more drama and add more tension to the whole situation. Naturally, you're probably thinking, why would Boobie even want to betray Jason and Lucia? And at this point, I have absolutely no idea. It's too early to say, as we don't really know why they're even involved with Jason and Lucia in the first place. But if it is going to happen, I would assume it has something to do with drugs, since that seems to be Boobie's thing other than owning the strip club. Anyway, there's not much else to say about Boobie, so let's move on. Next up, I want to talk about somebody who I think has a 0% chance of being an antagonist in any form, and that's the one, the only, the Beast, Hampton. Now this guy is probably the least villainous person I've ever seen. He just oozes kindness, and he seems like somebody who's really going to stick by Jason and Lucia for the whole story. He just seems like such a goofy, genuine friend to Jason and Lucia. All I can see of this guy is golf, drinking, and getting into bar fights. And of course, the other slightly illegal activities that they get up to with Brian. Now, I think it would be absolutely hilarious if I was completely wrong about Cal and he ends up betraying Jason and Lucia in some form, but I mean, does anybody really think that's going to happen? If you can really see Hampton harming anybody in this story, please tell me in the comments below, because he does not give me that vibe whatsoever. The only other thing I can say about this is I am really looking forward to getting up to some diabolical things with this guy once the game comes out. Finally, I want to talk about the big ones, Jason and Lucia themselves. Can I see them both betraying each other? Yes. Do I want them to? No. In my dream GTA 6, these two are a couple right to the end, ride or die, stick by each other no matter what. But given that this is a Rockstar game, the chances of that happening are probably quite slim. However, what I will say is that based off everything we've seen so far, there's no real indication this is the direction the story is going to go. All we know so far is that they're very much in love and that they'll do anything for each other. That of course could just be a red herring, and that could change at any moment, but I'm honestly really hopeful that we do end up getting a really good love story between the both of them, and that their lives coincide with each other right to the very end and doesn't end in tragedy. But honestly, I trust Rockstar to do anything, and to do it very well. So if they were to go down a different route and have them actually betray each other, they would do it phenomenally, there's no question about it. One thing that we do know about Lucia is that she's very, very ambitious, and she wants to go right to the very top. So maybe maybe at some point in the story, she'll start to see Jason as a liability, and in order to get to the very top, just like Brian, she's willing to do whatever it takes, which could include a plethora of things. Maybe she sells him out to the police, or maybe she tries to kill him. And as for Jason, maybe he's forced into betraying her by somebody more powerful than he is. Or maybe he simply just gets too greedy and wants to go further than he thinks Lucia can take him. And if this was to happen, I'm guessing the player would be given a choice as to who they want to control and eventually who they want to kill. Overall, there are so many different ways that Rockstar can take this story, and I'm very excited to see what they do, no matter what it is. Anyway, that's about all for today's video, guys. Again, kind of a short one, but I really wanted to talk about this stuff. One more time, thank you to the 4 members that we currently have. Again, it means the world to me. And after watching this amazing video, if you'd like to do the same thing to support me, the link is in the description below. Make sure to like and subscribe and to follow my Twitter as well while you're at it, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, guys.